Okay, we're up to the Mishnah on Daf Gimel Amid Aleph, and after a few intense staffing that we've had in Masechta Nazir, I think the Rabbi decided to give us a break. So we have this very nice Agadata Daf today. Baruch Hashem, some very famous Agadata. Let's enjoy. Says the Mishnah, Ha'isha shenadra bin Nazir, a woman, she was Kabbalah Naziris, and b'mezid with Hasra and Eidim, she decided that she's going to indulge in some wine and be metamal mesim. She's going to get 40 malchus, which we know which is 39 malchus. Bemis is only 39 malchus, but she will get that. This doesn't seem to be a chiddush over here. The chiddush is in the Sefer. Hafala baila, if however her husband goes ahead and takes it off, V'hilo yada, and she did not know that her husband had removed it, then she was mechaben for an avera, but in fact she didn't do an avera because she was no longer in a zira. She's not going to get 40 malchus. Why? Because in fact she wasn't in a zira. Rabbi Yehuda says, even if she doesn't get 40, she should get makis mardis. And the Taisus learns that the Chachamim will not disagree with this. Makis mardis is a lashon of to be roideh, to go ahead and enforce. It's the koyach of Bezdin to enforce laws. And makis mardis, in a way, sometimes is worse than makis. Makis abayim, you're limited. We go ahead, we evaluate how much a person can take. Makis mardis, such a tasty nafshav. If a person doesn't want to do something, you can really, it's unlimited amount what you can give the person. So it's very, very interesting. Makas Marda. So again, the Taisus is learning that Tanakama would not disagree with Rabbi Yehuda. They just said you wouldn't get the Malkus Midoraisa, but you would get Makas Mardas, which is the Rabbanon. Rabbanon. Okay, the pasuk says, Im hafi yafai sam isha. If her husband goes ahead and takes off a neder b'yom shamo on the day that he hears it, kol meisis v'sehel in darecha li'is nafsha liyakum isha hafeiram v'Hashem yislach lo. Her husband takes it off, and Hashem, He will forgive her. Kind of funny, right? Where's the need for forgiveness over here? She made a neder, and where is the need for the forgiveness? Okay, we say Reb Nassin, anyone makes a neder, kilubana bama. But she didn't keep the neder, hikr of love. Okay, we had a Gemara earlier in the Masechta, in the Darim, about Reisha, the Sefer. But anyway, Isha hafeiram Hashem yislach la. What are we speaking about over here? Isha shahefala baila, a woman that her husband took off a neder. Behilo yada hakasa medaber. She tzricha kapara uslicha. She requires kapara uslicha. In other words, she thought she was doing an avera. She knew she had made a neder. She was totally unaware that her husband had removed the neder, and yet she's acting upon that. That's our Mishnah. She thought she was being mechalul hanaziris by being metamal mesim or drinking wine, and with that kivun, she went ahead and acted, not knowing that she was free and clear. Yet acting upon that kavana requires slicha v'kapara, and therefore you see the lashon of Hashem yislach la. Again, she didn't do an avera. Nonetheless, she needs a kapara. Because Rabbi Akiva etzel pasuk zeh, Rabbi Akiva would get to this pasuk. He would cry. Why would he cry? The person has every intention to do an avera. He's going to eat pig. And instead of eating pig, he got mamish beis Yosef shchita. Mamish the most kosher dika meat, right? Mamish glat shebeglat, and no sirchus or anything. And unbelievable. She'akavana was chazer, and she gets the most glatistic meat, right? Toyin kaparu uslicha. She's going to require kaparu uslicha. She's going to kaparu uslicha. No, she intended to do an avera, and in the end, what happened after doing the avera? Nonetheless, something good happened. I mean, nothing bad. She ate kosher meat. Shimon b'chaf gimel amid aleph, and Rabbi Akiva would be boichem when we get to this. When Rabbi Akiva would get to this, he would be boichem. And what would he say? A person who has in mind to go ahead and be over basa chazir, and in the end he did nothing wrong. Adarabba, he ate kosher meat. Toyin kapara slicha requires kapara slicha. Hamiskaven lalis biyadi basa chazir. Someone who goes ahead and wants to do an avera, the ola biyadi basa chazir, and comes along basa chazir lachas kama v'kama. Okay, so Rabbi Akiva would cry when we get to this pasuk, because we see that the husband takes off the neder. She thinks she's doing something wrong. She didn't do anything wrong. Hashem yislach la, and that explains the Mishnah why Rabbi Yehuda would say Sofikas Aboyim, because she wasn't a Nazira, but nonetheless she did something wrong because the Torah says Hashem yislach la. Now Rabbi Bornstein brought in a sefer called Gilyoni Hashas. I happen to have it, and I thought I'd share it with you what he says. Unbelievable shot. Why Rabbi Akiva would be boicher. Now Rabbi Akiva, we think about him. The famous, the upbeat Rabbi Akiva, right? The Gemara in Brachas, where Rabbi Akiva was in a forest and he had a donkey and he had a chicken and he had a light and he went to a town and no one took him in and he ended up going to the forest and the light went out and the chicken was eaten up and the chicken was eaten and the donkey was killed and mamish, he lost everything, and every said, Kol man the Aviv Rachmana be'olam tava. Anything HaKadosh Baruch Hu was good, always upbeat. Always upbeat. Rabbi Akiva in the end of Makis, guys, we see that the shul came out from the makom of the Beis Hamikdash that had been destroyed, and the Tanoim were crying, and Rabbi Akiva was laughing. Always the optimist. Yet Rabbi Akiva in this Gemara, machshava to go ahead and do something wrong, tipas a chazer, and it comes out something good. I mean, that he ate meat. Why would he cry? In other words, obviously, something touched Rabbi Akiva over here more than the norm. So listen to this. Or you don't have to listen, you can even see it. This is in the Sefer Gilyoni Hashas. Hayaboiche. Umamish niskavan la'aleis biyodei basa chazer. V'ola biyodei basa tleh. Nira be'enai. I guess you should look. The Sefer Beis Shmuel Achroin. This was written by a person named Rav Shmuel. What was his full name? Rav Shmuel Falkenfeld. That was his name. Rav Shmuel Falkenfeld. We'll say double shem moimoi. Ala Torah Pashas Pinchas. Hevi b'shem Sefer Nezer HaKodesh. He brings a Sefer called the Nezer HaKodesh. Madua dafka Rabbi Akiva hayaboiche bezeh. Right? Why did Rabbi Akiva dafka cry by this pasuk? Right? In other words, based upon the contrast of the Gemaras we brought in previously, we wouldn't expect Rabbi Akiva to be crying over here. The Mavur B'Zohar HaKodesh, guys, listen to this. Ubar Rizal, the Asari Aruge Malchus Hoyel Gilgulim Yot Shvatim. The 10 Aruge Malchus that were killed by the Romans, they were the Gilgulim of the Yot Shvatim. We know that the Roman general, why did he start killing them in that Kufa? He said, well, what's the halacha of a Jew that kidnaps a person and sells them? The Mechuyev Misa. So the brothers, they kidnapped Yosef and they sold him. So they have to go ahead and pay the piper for Yosef. So the Asari Ruge Malchus are paying the piper for Yosef. Okay? And Umavur B'Zohar, that what? That V'chein Mavur B'Zohar, Ubari, the Asari Malchus, the good Yishvatim, not only were they were the Gilgulim of the Yishvatim. In other words, those 10 were the Gilgulim of the 10 Shvatim. Again, Binyamin wasn't there and Yosef wasn't being sold, so there were 10 brothers that sold them. Each one of the Asari Ruge Malchus was a Gilgul of the particular Shevet. Shemachru es Yosef. The Yosef Amalahem, what did Yosef tell them? Ata chashavtem layla ra, Elokim, you thought about this for bad, but HaKadosh Baruch Hu, how do I move this? HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he thought about it l'taiva. He had in mind that it should be good. Vim kain chat hamakira hayu. Okay, so what's pshat, guys? The brothers were feeling they did something terrible to Yosef. Yosef tells them it's all me'es HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You wanted to do something bad, but a great thing happened. I became the Mishnah Melech. I saved Klal Yisrael. I began the whole Maisa with the Bris Bein Abasarim. That's going to lead to the Jewish nation. Mechiras Yosef, ultimately, even though it began as a terrible thing, turned out very well. And Yosef was going ahead and some fights his brothers. Okay? So it's the same thing. They were mechavan the chet to sell him and came out something good. Similar to a person who wants to eat basar chazer and came in his hand basar tleh. Rabbi Akiva, Mivuya, Shahoya, Gilgul, Shimon. We said the 10 Shvatim, the 10 Asuri Ruki Malchus, parallel the 10 Shvatim. And Rabbi Akiva was the Gilgul of Shimon. He was the Gilgul of Shimon. And Shimon was the rabbinizer. Shimon was the one who didn't want to, who sold him. Reuven, we know, didn't want to sell him. He put him in the pit. Yehuda didn't want to sell him, didn't want to kill him. They didn't want to kill him. Shimon wanted to kill him, and Levi went along. The others, Yisachar, Zvulun, none of them would have spoken in front of their older brothers. So Shimon was the one that, so Rabbi Akiva knew he had to pay the piper. He thought, and therefore Rabbi Akiva was what? He was the Gilgul of Shimon. Of all the Asuri Malchus, the one that is considered the one who suffered the most was Rabbi Akiva. Shimon was the one, poetically, who was nichnis on the literally the thickness of the kaira, meaning he was the one that was that was the plan. He was the one who wanted to kill Yosef. Rabbi Akiva said, he says an unbelievable thing, fellas. He says the following. He says that Rabbi Akiva, knew he was a Gilgul of Shimon, and Rabbi Akiva could have thought the following. He could have thought, 1 second, even though I was Mechavan Labid, something good happened from it. So if something good happens from it, I don't have to pay the piper. What do we see from our Mishnah? You were Mechavan for something bad. You were in Nazira. You were drinking wine. You didn't know, and something good came from it, right? You went ahead and your husband had taken it off. You went ahead, you wanted to eat basar chazer. And guess what? Something good happened that you ate basar tleh. And says Rabbi Akiva, you see over here that never can be punished. So Rabbi Akiva takaboicha. Since he was the Gilgul of Shimon, and Shimon was the one who came up with the plan, and he was the one who was mechavan l'ra, he's going to have to pay the piper the most. And in fact, he did.
Rabbi, the difference is when she's mechavan to eat the chazer, and it's not chazer, it's actually what she's doing, or the husband was made for the neder. When she's doing the actual act of drinking the wine, she's not doing anything wrong. Here, when the brothers sold Yosef, inherently what they did was wrong. Just down the road, it turned out to be something good.
Well, what was the kavana? I think let's go after the kavana. We're going after the kavana. The kavana was something big. He wanted to kill Yosef. There was that they didn't kill Yosef was Yehuda saving him. In other words, he went along with the mechira, but he wanted to do something bad. She wanted to do something bad. You're right in the etzem thing itself. But again, the kavana was the same. So I think if you go after the kavana, it's a fabulous interpretation. Why Dafka Rabbi Akiva would boicha and Dafka by this and not by what anything else. I think it was tremendous. And Baruch Hashem, I had the safe. I and just a good excuse to go open the safe is a Gavalga thing. It's called the Guyani Hashas. It's from Yosef Engel. It's a fantastic sefer. Okay, anyway, let's go weiter. Okay. It says, so we have one by the Isha. Now we have the same concept, it's going to repeat itself. This guy's in the parish in the Torah is something called Ashim Taloi. That you're not sure you did an Avera that is Chayiv Koris, but you're not sure if you did the Avera or not. So you bring an Ashim Taloi to protect you until you can find out. If you find out you did the Avera, then you bring a Chatas. Okay, so what's the V'lo of Hashem v'nasa avoinai? He says you don't know if you and you carry your iniquity, and it says v'nasa avoinai. Now you don't even know if you did an avera, right? But it says avoinai, you're going to carry your avera. The guy had in front of him a piece of meat. He thought it was what? He thought it was a sheep. And it turned out to be pig. You have one piece in front of you. You're unsure whether it's kosher or not. Nonetheless, even though you didn't know for sure, it's considered an avera. You wanted to do an avera and you did an avera. Allah has come of kama. Now, Isi ben Yehuda is going to say the same thing from the same pasuk. The only difference being, Isi ben Yehuda says the machloikas when you're bringing Nashim Tali, one chaticha, two chatichas. In other words, guys, when you have one piece, you're not sure there's an issa there at all. It might be kosher. When you have two pieces, one of them zicha is issa. So you have mechazik isura. One of them is zicha asa. So isi men yuda imer v'lo yoda v'ashem v'nasa avaynai. Uma mishnes gavan alis biyadi basa tle v'yola biyadi basa chazer. He wanted to eat, but he had in front of him he had a piece of kosher meat and chazer, and he wanted to go ahead and eat one of them, and he ended up eating the chazer. Going so he wanted to eat the kosher. He made the other one. Mashenke, what about a person who wants to eat basa chazer? All of the basa chazer. Alachas kama v'kama al davazeh. On this yidvu hadvuyim. This people who feel pain, they feel pain. Very interesting lashon, guys. Look at the Tosfos over here. Al dav the fourth Tosfos down. Al davazeh yidvu. The word yidvu is rashi tevos yoda v'ashem v'nasa hakosem v'dab v'ashem taloi. So yud dalet vavav stands for yoda v'ashem v'nasa. Yud dalet carrying his avera. Okay. V'chol hani lamali. So we have three sources, guys. We have three sources. We have the Isha. We have the Isha with her neder, like the Naziris. We have the Asham Toli according to the Tanakama, which is one Chaticha. And we have the Asham Toli according to Isi Ben Yehuda, which is two Chatichas. It says Gemara with Tzricha. You need all of them. The Tana Gabe Isha by the woman who made the neder. Hasam Hu the boy Kapar Slicha Mishum. Then Mikarali Surah Chavin. She was Mechavin for Issa. Like Dov said, she thought she's doing something wrong. Right? You had kavana to eat. I would think that what? I thought I was eating kosher meat. So therefore I would not think I did anything wrong. If you tell me that one, the iki surah, because there's issa there. Aval isha, the hefala baila that tera, like the boy kapar v'slicha. In other words, each one has a chumrah of the other. By the Isha, her kavana was wrong. By the Chaticha, his kavana was not wrong. By the Chaticha, there was by the Isha, there was no Isser. By the Chaticha, there might be Isser. The Mahani Tarti by the Isha and the one Chaticha, one piece, Havamina Hani Tarti, who the Sagilu Bekaparu Slicha. Ikvi Surah. That you can bring a carbon. Ikvi Surah, because there was no Isser. By the Nazir, there was no Isser at all. And by the one chaticha, maybe it was basat let. Al shtei chatichas, acher shel chayla v'acher shel shumin, the ikvi surah, where you kaveyat that you know there's isur of chayla over there, like sagle b'kavar v'slich. I might think it's not enough to bring a carbon kamash malan. The loishna, there's no difference. So that's the beautiful Gemara regarding that. Amar Rav Chan Amar Rabbi Yochanan, my dichsiv ki yishorim darki Hashem b'tzadikim yelchu bam u'poishim yikashlu behem. So you have the ways of Hashem are just. Tzaddikim go in them, and the Poishim, also like Kobashoyim, they kashlu. In other words, the tzaddik, you have two people, they can go in the same way. One could go ahead and do a mitzvah, and one could do an avera, the same path. Mashal l'shnei bnei Adam, mashal to two people, shetzolu es b'schayim, they're roasting, broiling the carbon Pesach. Echad l'shem mitzvah, one eats it l'shem mitzvah's carbon Pesach. The one other one eats it l'shem achila gasa. He's stressing his face off. Zeshach l'shem mitzvah tzadikim yelchu bam. Zeshach l'shem achilas gasa u'poshim yikashlu bam. So they're going on the same path. They're eating the same carbon, but look, the way they eat it can go ahead and it can be a mitzvah or not. Amalei Reish Lakish. Reish Lakish said to Rabbi Yochanan, "Hi, Rasha Karislei. You're calling this person a Rasha because he ate the carbon Pesach." Because why? He enjoyed his meat. He ovid mitzvah min amufchar. Good, he didn't do the best mitzvah, but Pesach miyaka ovid. He was going to a mitzvah. In other words, to say he's a Rasha doesn't do mitzvahs. He did the mitzvah, he just didn't do it the best way. You see from here that Reish Lakish was hold that mitzvahs ain't tzrichas kavana. That's where the Gilyon Hashas points out another Gemara. He quotes the Torah Yevon, where it says that Reish Lakish holds that mitzvahs do need kavana. Anyway, elamashal. So therefore, we need another interpretation of this pasuk. Elamashal l'shnei bnei Adam. Zeh ishtay v'achaysa imay. This person has his wife and his sister in the house. Zeh ishtay v'achaysa imay. L'zen is damar le'ishtay. L'zen is damar le'achaysa. One ends up living with his sister. One ends up living with his wife. Says the Gemara Midami, it's not comparable. In other words, but the case you gave for Pesach, they were on the same path. Over here, good, the action was the same action, but the path was different. One was your sister and one was your wife. So this can't be the mashal of the Kishan Varchei Hashem. El mashal l'loit u'shtei b'nosav. Okay, for just brief purposes, Lot is saved from Sodom. He ends up in a cave with his two daughters. His two daughters think the world is destroyed. Ish ein ba'aretz asher yovel aleim. There's no person that can live with us. His wife had just turned to a pillar of salt. The Torah says we have to know what happened to his wife to understand that they thought they were the only two females left in the world. The Rabban speaks out, Olam chesed yiboneh, we will live with our father. One of us will have a male and one of us will have a female, and we'll repopulate the world, right? Like Tobarol, the Shevis Itzara, the Pasuk in Yeshaya. The world was created to be populated. It wasn't created to be desolate. So therefore, even if the women are not mechuyim pirurivya, they are mechuyim the Rabbanan in the midst of Sheves, of populating the world. They were mecham l'shem shemayim. Lot, on the other hand, was not. And the Gemara can go out of its way to show that Lot was not mecham l'shem shemayim. We know from this union came at Ammon and Moav. We know Ammon and Moav was lo yava b'kal Hashem, right? This is let's see. Says the Gemara. El mashal l'loid u'shtei b'naisav imay. Hein sheneskav l'shem mitzvah. They who mecham to do the mitzvah v'tzadikim yelchu bam, right? Hu sheneskav l'shem aveira u'poishim yikashlu bam. So that's the pasuk. There's one derech over here. There's the daughter. They were mecham l'shem shemayim, and they were and he was mecham l'snos. Fred Gemara v'dilma hu nami l'shem mitzvah chavin. How do you know Lot that what Lot wasn't mechavin to populate the world as well? Now be aware, fellas, that there's a machloikis in the Gemara and Sanhedrin, whether it says that whether a ben Noach is mutter bebito. This is a real sheitel flipper, guys. But ben Noach is mutter bebito. That a ben Noach is mutter to live with his daughter. A ben Noach is mutter to live with her. Take a look at Tais for a second. Lo yushnei bonesav hushin eskav naveru poishim yikoshlu bam. Mashma that loiter navera. V'hainu kimanda omar perek daled misais oivit kechavim osa bebito. In other words, there is a manda oma that says that a ben Noach is mutter bebito. So he's asking a kasha Tais. So why is it considered rishayim poishim yikoshlu behem? If it's mutter, where's the avera? Right, guys, you hear? If it's mutter bebito, where's the avera? So Taisus answers, in other words, the Umas at that period of time, they did not go ahead and indulge. They didn't indulge. The Ramban ala Torah, he brings a Medrash Tanchuma that Lot offered up his daughters for znus. It's the derech of the olam that a person protects his person will be killed protecting his daughters or his wife, kill or be killed. And this one offered them for znus. When they came to the house, the men of Sodom, to take the malachim, to do an act of homosexuality to them. So Lot offers up his daughters. So the Medrash says that you're opening up your daughters, you offer them up as nus, you'll end up with them. So it's mashma that it wasn't a good thing. Yeah, and Lot, anytime you think about Lot, nothing good is with Lot after this Maisa. But be aware, there is a day, according to Taisus, quoting a Gemara in Sanhedrin, that a ben Noach's mutter bebito, and you need a lumdus to understand over here why exactly it's ikashlo behem. Says the Gemara Vaita, I'm Rabbi Yochanan, kol pasuk hazeh al shem averi nemar. You want to know why Lot was not a good guy? Here's the pasuk. It says vayisa Lot es eina vayaris kol kikar hayarden kikula mashke. Now, Vayisa Lot, the background over here is that there's a riv between the fight between the shepherds of Avram, the shepherds of Lot. There's a fight between the two. And Lot's grazing on other people's lands, and the shepherds of Avram are giving him on Musaf for grazing on other people's lands. And what happens is, Lot is given a choice. Lot picks up his eyes and he sees Sodom, and Lot goes to travel to settle in Sodom, which the Torah tells us the men of Sodom are horrible. The Torah doesn't cut corners. It mamish spells it out. These guys were low lives. They were the worst. Anyway, Lot. So it says Vayisa Lot Esainov. Now the play on the word Vayisa, it says Vatisa Eishes Adoinav Esaineha. Right? It said she watched. She saw Yosef. So we know Eishes Patifa, the lashon Batisa, she was looking for znus. So Vayisa Lot also was looking for znus. Kihi Yasher Be'enai. We also see by Shimshon. Shimshon says that she was Yasher and Be'enai. Right, in my eyes. Vayisa Lot Esainov. The word is on Einav. Vatisa Einecha. And it says by what? By Shimshon, that he Yashabenai and Shimshon marry a woman who was not religious, not Jewish. Vayar, it says Vayar es kol kigra yardain. Vayar oisa Shechem ben Chamor, right? And Shechem ben Chamor Sodina and Tukah. So each play on word is what? Is a connection to morality. And then it says kol kigra hayardain ki be ad isha zoyna ad kigra lochem. As a result of a zoyna, a man is reduced to a piece of lechem. So he says the word kikar, play on words kikar. Ki kule mashke, that it was all irrigated the land. Elcha akrei arvai, noisne lachmi umeimai samari upishti shamani v'shikuyov. Right. So shikuy going after the mashke is also allusion to znus. Fred the Gemara meinas honest. He is what? He is a shikavi light. Like we say shikavi light. Right. Light was incredibly drunk. So he's an honest. We had a question. We saw Rambam. We had a question that why would a person be responsible for his deeds if he was drunk? And we said there's different levels of drunkenness, right? If you shikavi light, the Rambam says, then you're not machayev. So over here, why are you machayev? It says Tanu Mishum Rabbi Yosef Yehuda Chani Lama Naked Al Vav Ubekayma. It says he didn't know anything when he lied down, but when he got up. But there's an akuda that says when he got up, right? So Shel Bechira. But when he lied down with the older one, Loimar Shebeshichva Loyada. So Ubekayma Shel Bechira. It says when he got up. So when he lied down, he didn't know anything. Al Ubekayma Yoda. When he got up, he did know that he was with his daughter. So therefore, he's not an honest. Might have a little never, might have a hava. In other words, he wasn't honest still, right? So good, after he got up, but he didn't know when he lied down. So when he lied down, he wasn't honest. Says Gemara Nafkamina, the Lepanya Achrina, the next night, he shouldn't have drank wine. In other words, so he knew about the first one. How are you going to explain the second one? So obviously, what he got drunk, knowing that the possibility of being the second one, and therefore he's not an honest. Okay, we have the pasuk says. Here's the whole pasuk. The pasuk says, "Es nifshas mikras oi." It says a brother, mikras ois, umidyonim umedunim kivriach armain. It's a pasuk in Mishlei. The pasuk says a rebellious brother from a strong city on the base, a rebellious brother from a strong city, umidyonim. Kivriach Armoin, and people who are contentious to Aswal Taishit, meaning people who fight a lot, they're like a lock, like a bar of a castle. What does that mean? As Nifsha Mikiat is a rebellious brother from a strong city, Zelite. Why was Lot rebellious? Shapirs me Avram, he left Avram. Umidyonim Kivriach Armoin, and people who are fight, they are barred from the castle, right? What does that mean? Shehitel Midyonim Kivricha Ba'armoin. What does that mean? Who was this contentious brother? He was considered a brother to Avram Avinu, right? And what happened? He had two children, Ammon and Moab, and neither one was able to come into what? The Kal Hashem. Neither one was able to come what? Into the Kal Hashem. Right? The Balaturim says beautifully, Balaturim al Torah guys, he says, the Lot who was Machaven was Nus. So Ammon and Moab, the males are not allowed to Kal Hashem. The girls, the daughters who were Mechavim L'Shem Shemayim, the female issue of Moab are allowed to come Hashem, right? They are allowed to come in. Ammon and Moab lo Moavia, Ammon lo Ammonis. They're both come Hashem. Beautiful Torah, Balaturim that explains over there. Dorish Rav Avitema Reb Yitzchak. Maidich Siv, the pasuk says, L'Savo Yivakesh Nifrad. What does that mean? Someone keeps himself apart for his own tithers, but in the end, he's exposed in all. What does that mean? Yivakesh, the taiva yivakesh nifrad, a person who's mechavim for taiva, zeloit, ubechol toishia yiskale, and he'll be exposed with his chachma. Sheniskale kaloina in the batiknisis bati midrashos, in the place of chachma, in the batiknisis bati midrashos. It's nisgala, it's revealed, kaloina, his embarrassment. That nan, amoni umavi, asurim derasa, the isur isur oilam. So now you see why is that? It's because of light, because what light did. Okay, so then now we know that Ammon Umav, this, I don't have time to darshan Ammon Umav, but there's tremendous Torah on this. Ammon Umav, that the reason why Ammon was is the Torah tells us actually when we're on the road, they didn't go ahead and give something. We had a Gemara in Ayin Zion, guys, in Yavamis, that they didn't greet with us when we were on the males, did not give us food and to drink. And what about the females? We said Kol Kvud Bas Melech Panima, that the Jewish girls stayed inside, so therefore they weren't available because the men would give to the men, the woman. Since the women weren't available, therefore the women of Moab are allowed into Kal because they didn't go ahead and show the midah of Achzarias. They didn't show the midah of Achzarias. So just one Megala Mukas, I'll tell you a beautiful, beautiful pshat, guys. That why were they allowed in the Kal Hashem is because the Malachim came and they said, Ayeh Sarah Shtecha, where's Sarah your wife? They said, Hine ba'oil. So why didn't he be in the oil? Kol Kvud Bas Melech Panima. So it's Gufa Sarah being in the tent that gave the Malachim the answer to Ayeh Sarah Shtecha. She's in the tent. So therefore, says the Chedush Yarim. He says, therefore, when the Malachim went, they said, we save Ammon more. We're going to save them. We're going to save them for the females because since Sarah was ba'oil, right, and now they're right to be saved because in the Asad Lava in the future, Bez Hashem, the woman won't come to greet them, and they don't have to because it was the Ayeh Sarah Ishtecha that allowed the female issue into Kal Hashem. David HaMelech, we know there was a question about his lineage because he came from Rus HaMoaviyah, right? That was the question. So what led him in Bemis? It was Sarah staying in the tent. Guys, says the Megala Mukais, Rav Nosson Nata Shapiro lived in the beginning of the 17th century. Esa Einai Elaharin May Ayin Yaveh Ezri. I'll pick up my eyes to Hashem. Where will my help come from? Esa Ayeh Aleph Saf Sarah Aleph Ayeh Sarah Ishtecha. Where's Sarah your wife? That was the question of Ayeh Sarah Ishtecha, and the answer that she was ba'oil takabot David's salvation, and that's why Moab was like Kal Hashem. Masa Kedvash. Okay, let's go back there. Says the Gemara. Ama'ula. Tama Zinsa, the Maisa with Tama was with her father-in-law. Koidemat and Torah, there was the concept of Yibum, guys. Koidemat and Torah, there was the concept of Yibum. There was 3 sons, Oin and Shela. Died, Oinan died. Shela was so young, Yehuda didn't want to give it over. Tama, who was the daughter of Shem ben Noach, was tremendous tzedekis. She saw that Malchus was going to come from them. She dresses up as a Zaina. Yehuda's going along the way. Vayetman Aderech says the Medrash, the Malach of Taiva came along because he was going to pass by, and Hashem said the Malchus is waiting to come from this woman. I'm not letting him pass by. The Taiva comes, he lives with her. They have twins, Zerach and Peretz. Peretz is the forefather of Malchus. Okay, so Amul Tama Zinsa Zimri Zina. Zimri was with Cosby Basur by the Baal Pa'ar. She was the princess of Midian. And 24,000 people died as a result of this terrible Maisa. Tama Zinsa, Yatzim Mena Malachim Neviim. Tama was Mizana, came from her, Malachim Neviim. You'll see Taisus goes through all the ones that came, the Neviim, Yeshaya, Amos came from them, King Fishor came from them, as I just said. Zimri Zina, Naflu Love, Kamar Yisrael, 24,000 died as a Maisa Balpar. Amrav Nachma Yitzchak, Gedola Avera Lishma, Mitzvah Shaloi Lishma. Greater is the Avera. Greater is Avera Lishma, may mitzvah Shaloi Lishma. It's greater in Avera Lishma from a mitzvah Shaloi Lishma. Just have to. Thank you so much, Dov. Amar Nachman Yitzchak, Gedola Avera Lishma, may mitzvah Shaloi Lishma. Greater is an Avera Lishma than a mitzvah Shaloi Lishma. Okay, we'll see why. But Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Rav Lo'ilam Yasek Adam B'Torah mitzvah Afilu Shaloi Lishma, Shemitoi Shaloi Lishma Balishma. In other words, an Averu Lishma can be better than mitzvah Shaloi Lishma. Even a mitzvah Shaloi Lishma means something, right? It means something. Ela kim mitzvah Shaloi Lishma. It will be equal. It'll be equal to. Now, we just had Pashas B'Shalach, the longest Haftarah, right? We have the Pash of Shiras Devaira. And Shiras Devaira, the Devaira is going ahead and complimenting many people. And we know the Maisa happened the following. There was a war between Yavam Canaan. Sisera was his general. Devorah and Barak are victorious. Sisera runs to a tent. Yael, the wife of Chevesh Sakeni, hides him, and she kills him. She takes a tent and pegs him in the head. But what you don't know is what she did beforehand to peg him. She lived with him 7 times, as the Gemara is going to say now. It should be Tichsiv, Tevorach Minoshim al Yal Eshes Chevrakeni. More blessed from the Nashim is Yal Esha Zakeni mi Nashim Ba'oil. She should be more blessed than the woman of the tent, the Vayrach. Man Nashim Ba'oil, who are the women of the tents? Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, and Leah are the women of the tents. Ari Mahais. So more gebenched is Yael than what? Than the Imahais. Amr Rabbi Yochanan, Sheva be'ilis boiled Isa Rasha, Isa Shah. 7 be'ilis, she was boiled this Rasha at that time, Shnemar. Bein Ragleha Kar Nafal Shachav, and it says 7 times the Lashon Kar Nafal B'Shachav. Right? Fred the Gemara, how for Hakam is Hanis, she's having Me'ilah, so you're saying this is doing an Aveira, the she's having Hana from the Bia, even if she's Kak Oilam, she's having Hana. So I'm Rabbi Yochanan, Kol Tavas Shal B'Shoyim, Ein Ela Ra, Eitzel Tzadikim. Anytime anything that's good for a Rosh is be it for what? For a tzadikis or a tzaddik. So therefore, it's good for Sisra. It's be it for her. Shnemar Hisham Lechem Midaber Yaakov V'Toy Va'adra. Okay. So now, Bishleim Ra Shapir Ela Toiv Amai Loi. Why is it not good? Ela Lav Shmamina Toivasa Ra. The Tavasa is be it for what? His Hatava for Logman is be it for Yaakov Shmamina. So how is more mevorach? How is Yael more mevorach? So it's very interesting. If you look at Taisvis, mishanis me'avera, and he nami delay that tarig val tarig. Now the question is, it's one of the Zayim mitzvahs may Noach, a person should be killed, and even one, our big 3, it's Gili Arayos. So if it's Gili Arayos, she should be killed. So Taisvis says, why don't we say that? So the famous answer, Kidamina b'shuli perik ben Soromoira. The Esther Karka Oilam. In other words, a woman could be passive. Since she's passive, she's not part of the Aveira. Lama Mishabcha Kosev. Why is the Torah going ahead and lauding her? She had enough from an Aveira. So therefore, she shouldn't be lauded more than them. She didn't have Hana. The Taivasim Shal Rishoyim Ra. Yechsiv Yisham Lechem Midaverim Yaakov B'Tovad Ra. Perek mitzvahs chalitza masik bishleim gabi lavan the matka shem davoidus kuchav mela gabi yal my raw mishani the shoda beizam. Okay, anyway, guys, the women, the imahos, they had a no with the bia. So to vorech yal may eshes chevra keni minashin ba'oil. Why they more benched? Because they both did the same action. They were mechavin for a mitzvah. And she was mechavan for a mitzvah. She did an aveira, but she was mechavan for lishma. She wanted to kill this guy. Certainly the imahis, they were mechavan for a mitzvah to go ahead and bring around the aseret shvat, the yudei shvatim. So since she didn't have enough in the bia and they had enough in the bia, she's more mevayrach. That's the way Taisus learns. There's the Meshech Chachma here, who has another way of learning. That's not the one I want. Look at Rashi and Nazir, Daf Geis, Ubetaisis Rosh Horius, and that's the shot I just told you about the Bia. The Tochen, the Imayis Kivnoi, Lahamid Shnei Meser Shvatim. Their Kavana was to bring the 12 Shvatim. The Al Mitzvahs Pir V'Rivya, Loi Huzaru Nashim. They're not Mechuyev and Pir V'Rivya guys. So it's a mitzvah Shaloi Lishma. They can't be Mechav L'Shem Mitzvah because they are not mitzvah in the mitzvah. So therefore it blibes the mitzvah Shaloi Lishma by the Imahais. L'chei Nikris mitzvah Shaloi Lishma. Aval Ya'a B'Mulchemes mitzvah, if it comes to Mulchemes mitzvah, which the battle against Yavin and Sisera was a Mulchemes mitzvah, Gam Nashim mitzvahs, women are also mitzvah. Kimavur Seif Saita, Afilu Chasim Michaderai, the Kal Michupasa, even a Chasim from his wedding chamber and a Kala from Har Chuppah go to war. Therefore, it's considered what? An Aveir Lishma, what she did. Says a beautiful Meshech Chachma to explain the difference between why she's more gebenched. Nashim, the Amayis was Shaloi Lishma. Why? Because they're not mitzvah. But Mechemes mitzvah, women is mitzvah, so her Aveir is more gebenched. Wow.
Aren't they mitzvah we said in populating the world, though?
That's the Rabbanan. That's the Rabbanan. Mitzvah Shevish Yitzhar is why it will be the Rabbanan. Okay, anyway, says the Gemara Vaita. Ufa. Amar Rabbi Yehuda Marav. Lo'ilam yasuk adam mitzvah mitzvahs afilu shaloi l'shma shemitay shaloi l'shma bol l'shma shebeschar membeis karbanis shehikriv balak harasha balak brought 42 karbanis Zocha b'yatzim mena Rus. He was zocha to have Rus come from him. Rabbi Yosef Bechanina Rus bas b'noi shel Eglon Melech Moav. Okay, Eglon, guys, in the beginning of Sefer Shoftim, Eglon is the Melech Moav, and they were oppressing Klal Yisrael. A person from called Ehud ben Gera. He's very famous, probably the most famous lefty in all of Judaic literature. This is for blog lefty material. If you want to go do something with the blog, he was able, since everyone wore their sword on one side, he wore on the other side because he was a lefty. He was able to smuggle in, and he said to Eglon, "I have a Devar Hashem to tell you." Eglon gets off from the throne and he gets him right. Eglon was sitting; he was a very corpulent man, and he was sitting in a chamber that was cold because they didn't have air conditioning, and he was alone. And he got him; he killed him. And as a result of him standing up for Dvar Hashem, he was zeicha to have, because he gave cover to his kisei. He had a descendant that sat on the kisei, and of course that descendant was Shlomo. And not only that, guys, Rus lived long enough to see Shlomo go ahead and reign. They lived that long. But it says here she was Bas B'nai Shel Eglon. Taisus points out there's no way she could have been the granddaughter. He makes the cheshbon between Ehud, Taisus Arash makes this cheshbon, from Ehud to Ivtson. Ivtson is Gemara Baba Basra, was Boaz, who of course was the husband of Rus, was 200 years. So she couldn't have been the grandson of Eglon. So like we said by Titus in Gittin, Titus was the Ben Benoi of Esav Arosha. So it's Ben Benoi means lav dafka grandchild, but it means descendant of. So it means she's a descendant of Eglon. How do you know Kodesh Baruch Hu does not even hold back schar of a good word? The ilu bechira, the karisa moyav, she called the child moyav, al rachmana, al tetza es moav, al tiskarbam. Don't go ahead and don't stress with them. Don't deal with them. Right? Don't go to war with them. Milchama hu deloy. But you could distress them, right? That's by the moav. By the younger one, the Karisa's Ben Ami, she hid the fact that it wasn't from the father. Guys, Moab means Mina Av. So Mina Av, you're publicizing that the child was from the father. So in Moab, you can not only you can't go to war, but you can't go to war, but you could shepherd. But this Ben Ami, she hid the name, the fact that the father was a child. Amalei al tetzureim val tiskarbam. I feel it tsure like tetzarim. You shouldn't even go ahead and shepherd them at all. Cloud. Archi barabam b'Yeshua ben karchel oilam. A person should go ahead and chap a mitzvah as much as possible. The schar of one night that the Bechira went ahead of the Tzira, the daughters of Lot. Moav came in after 4 generations, whereas Ammon only came after 5 generations. Let's see Taisvis. Arba Doris Yisrael. Oived 1, Yishai 2, David 3, Shlomo 4. The ilu tzira, the younger one, lehavi Yisrael ad Rechavam ben Shlomo, shebo min Nama ha'amonis. Rechavam came from Nama ha'amonis, who's the 5th generation. Wish everyone a good day. Dr. Press will be seeing you later.